Welcome back to episode 7 of the Altered States Unplugged podcast. I am one half of this dynamic duo. My name is Kyle Strubing. I am here with my life partner, my wife partner, my everything partner, Jojo Strubing. Jojo, baby, how we doing today?
We are good and excited for this episode all about cold plunging.
Ooh, I'm shivering now just thinking about it.
There's so many puns you can go
I know.
with. It's great.
I know. I love it and hate it, and it's but we're going to teach you and show you kind of some of the science behind it, dig in a little bit on it, and just, there's a lot going on out there, and hopefully I just try to keep it simple, stupid, and not focus on the protocols, and we'll go over some of that, but we'll just keep it very kind of in line.
Yeah.
And yes.
Yeah. We did an episode on contrast therapy, which was about cold plunging and infrared sauna. So you can go catch that episode. But we really wanted to do a deep dive into just cold plunging because there's so much to it. Right now you see it everywhere. I can't get on social media without seeing someone in an ice bath or, some homemade cold plunge that they made. So it's definitely a popular thing. But
some jack dude sitting in there is like, 45 minutes at negative 40 degrees. You're like, that math doesn't math, bro.
Yeah.
But okay, go get it.
But there's so many benefits to it. I mean, for me personally, when I started cold plunging, it changed the way I handled my anxiety. And I know it's, might sound a little cheesy, but it just has.
Yeah.
And but there's a lot of science, like you said, behind that. So we're going to dive into today kind of the benefits, how to prepare for your cold plunge session, some tips for during your cold plunge session so you can last longer, and just some general best practices. So I'm excited for today.
Yeah, I think cold plunging is great. I'm a big history guy, right? So Jojo said that cold plunging is not new. 100%, it's not new. We've been doing this as a human species for thousands of years. The first recorded history of cold plunging was actually in Egypt back in 3500 BC, right? There's another thing that I was reading. I was reading a couple books and stuff like that, and it's part of the Shintos used it for like spiritual cleansing in Japan way back in the day. So there's a whole spiritual element to it, and it's really cool. And shoot, the Vikings did it, and anything that the Vikings did, I'm all about it. Aside from the obvious, you get it. But yeah, no, anything Vikings, I'm all about the Vikings. So I'll start it off. I'll lead it off. Go into the benefits of some of the cold plunging. The first one, for me, honestly, like this is number one. It's the mental health benefits.
Absolutely.
Right. Stress reduction, big time. Big time. Right. So in 2021, they did a study, and I'm not going to go into the details. You could see all this, but what it actually, people logged their thoughts and where they were feeling based on different scales. And before they went into the plunge, and then they logged their thoughts and all that stuff prior to it. And it was a huge benefit. It was a lot less depression, even negative thoughts just left them. It was insane. And this has all been tracked since 2021. So we're not speaking a lot of how we talk. I don't want to say it's anecdotal, but we've been doing this for 3 years now. So I know a ton of cases. Like, I don't need to speak towards this, that, and the other, but scientifically, like, they can show that it really helps with those negative thoughts. That was a big thing. The second one is improved mood and mental clarity. So what you're doing is you're getting a hit of norepinephrine, and that is what's helping with the vascularity and all this stuff within the brain. That really helps.
Boy, do you feel it.
Holy
oh my gosh.
cow.
The first time I plunged, it was like, woo. I mean, crazy mood boost.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it does alleviate the symptoms of that anxiety and depression. And it's been shown through scientific studies. There's a ton that's come out in the last 5 years, and it's just constant benefits. Like I said before, we've been doing this forever.
Yeah.
Right. It's nothing new.
It's the biggest thing for me. I mean, I'm telling my body, even you get in the cold plunge and it's like, get out,
right.
get out. And I'm telling my body, no, I'm
Right.
safe. I'm okay. I want to do this. I'm enjoying this. That might be a lie,
Right.
but it's like, this is good for me and I'm taking control of my body.
Yeah.
And so when I get out and then I go get in that situation that normally gives me anxiety, like sitting in Dallas traffic or something, and my body wants to, have that pure anxiety attack, I can take control so much better. I'm like, no, I'm in control. Remember that last time we were in the cold plunge and everything was okay? Okay. Like now, you're going to be okay again.
Yep.
And our minds are so trainable, right?
Right.
And that's exactly what we're doing with this, right? Is just training our mind, to take control of our nervous system.
And we'll talk about resilience and stuff like that in a little bit here, but that's really where it comes in. It's so intense that everything else becomes less intense. I mean, that's just in a nutshell. That's really what it is.
Yeah.
So yes. The second one, which is huge, is the physical health benefits, right? One of them is that enhanced immune function, easy in function, right? The second is that improved circulation, as well as a reduction in inflammation and muscle soreness. And a big thing for me is the conversion between white fat and brown fat, right? White fat's the stuff around your organs that'll kill you. And then the brown fat is the stuff here. That's your fuel. So being able to transfer that, and I will say I did a DEXA scan, and this is real. I saw a significant decrease in my white fat because people say you can or can't spot loose fat, but that really helped with my organs and with the fat around your organs, and that's the stuff that, like I said, will kill you. You don't want to have fatty liver or fat, all that stuff. So that was big. It allows your body to kind of release some of those fat cells. The third one are the performance benefits. You just recover better, right? A lot of cold plunge not therapy, but a lot of cold plunge practice, everybody wants to talk about the details and the devil in the details and don't do this and don't do that. The only thing with this is it's cold plunging post-workout, it can thwart some hypertrophy, but people kind of take that into like, well, no, I'm not going to recover from my workout or whatever. But you're not. Most people aren't, unless you're a bodybuilder. Really, you're not really training for hypertrophy. Hypertrophy is shown as the best way to build muscle, but the best way to do that is lift to failure. Right? So to have big muscles, you want to lift to failure, and then that way it helps break your muscles down so then you can then recover it. It can slow some of that hypertrophy, so I always recommend if you're lifting like real heavy. Now, if you're going on runs, stuff like that, cardio, absolutely. The connective tissue, do it right after, fine. I don't think so. But if you're specifically gearing towards the hypertrophy, I would kind of push that off a little bit. I notice like when I do the heavier lifts and stuff like that and just blast myself, I definitely push that off. So be careful with that. And we're talking minuscule little details here. So, but that's just been one of the things that has been shown. It also shows an enhance in endurance and resiliency, 100%, right? Like Jojo touched on, every cell in your body is saying, I'm not going to do this. I want to get out. But your mind is going, nah, daddy, this is happening. Yeah. We need to do this. This is happening. I've noticed more now with this. Everything else is a little easier. I just go. I don't think, I don't wail. I don't like, oh my God. No, go. Right? You just with that whole, Jojo, you count to 5, you count down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and go. Yeah. Right. And it allows you now too, especially with working out, you can sit in the suck more. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Like this has really helped me, like those low planks or just this crappy parts of the workouts where you're just like, you almost embrace it because it's not nearly as bad. And you're building these neural pathways that this is, I'm in charge here. Yeah. And this too will be over, right? This is, even when I'm in the plunge, this is temporary. And when I'm done, I'm going to feel amazing.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then the lastly is going to be long-term benefits. There's potential for anti-aging effects. I think a big time with skin for sure. And then overall well-being and vitality, just getting those dopamine hits and all of that stuff, the norepinephrine, it just helps you for longevity, all those things, right? Brain health, all that good stuff. Yeah. Yeah. So I've talked for long enough here. Jojo, I'm going to turn it over to you on how do we prep for this cold plunge?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously you can see it's worth it, you know? So now we know why you would want to get into this 40-degree water for extended periods of times. But so how to prepare for your session. There's a couple things that you can do to make the experience a little better, right? I mean, ease into it per se. The first is start by taking cold showers at home. So if you got a session scheduled for Friday, you know, and it's Monday, start taking some cold showers. All this is doing is acclimating your body to that shock. You know, when you get in there, that's going to be the hardest thing to control, which we're going to talk about here in a bit, is how to control that shock. But acclimating your body to the cold showers will just make it a little bit easier and as you ease into it. Plus, cold showers can be pretty beneficial.
Cold showers can help with that. Just furthers that a little bit more. It can extend your practice. Now, I kind of think personally towards the contrary. If I'm going to get kicked in the nuts, I don't want to like slowly get kicked in the nuts throughout the week. I'd rather just get kicked in the nuts and then move on. You know what I mean? But it can definitely build a little resiliency for sure. It does.
It helps. For sure. And you'll notice too, the more you cold plunge, the longer you last, the better you get at it. So the more you are around the cold, the better. Next is start practicing those breathing techniques. We talk about these a lot on this show, but box breathing, inhale for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4. And then also look up Wim Hof if you're not familiar. The Wim Hof method is a lot about cold exposure, and he has a ton of breathing techniques for your cold exposure that can be very beneficial. So we even have a tablet that faces you when you're in the cold plunge. I'll tell people to play the Wim Hof breathing video. It gives them something to focus on, but it's a great technique. It's like inhaling, exhaling for like 30 and then holding for 15 and then one long exhale. Look it up. You don't have to remember that. But you're going to find, and when you get in the float tank, it's all about being able to control your breath because your breath is instantly taken away. So practicing some of those ahead of time, look up some of those, maybe find a video that you want to watch while you're in there. That can be really beneficial.
And if you go to a place that doesn't have access to that, expand your lungs. That's what you're trying to do here. Mm-hmm. You don't want to go in there breathing shallow. So I'll kind of belly breathe and just really start bringing air in, creating more space in my chest and back. And another thing you can do is I will kind of loosen up to create that room in your lungs, because when your butt hits that water, you're going to be gasping. Yeah. So if you have no room in there, you're going to cough and it's a wrap. Yeah. Right? And you'll panic. It's a wrap. So yes, the Wim Hof is great. Highly recommend. But if you don't have access to that, just really, breathe in as much as you can. Fill your belly, fill your chest and everything with that air so that when you do, you have an opportunity to then literally catch your breath, right? You're casting a larger net to catch your breath.
Slowing that breath down. Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. What to bring with you, just the basics here. Bring a swimsuit or some clothes you don't mind getting wet. We provide towels, robes, even a towel warmer for you. Make sure you're nice and cozy when you get out. Hair ties, everything else you need. So just bring yourself for a swimsuit. And lastly, don't psych yourself out. We have so many people coming in. They're like, I'm so nervous. I have been thinking about this. I couldn't sleep last night. No, this is going to be a really fun, challenging experience. You're going to feel great afterwards. So don't psych yourself out. Like, you can do this. There's never been anybody that hasn't been able to do it. It might just be 5 seconds, but that's okay your first time. Yeah. So just come in and we are going to help you through it. You got this.
Yeah. And be kind to yourself when you're in there. I always tell everybody, like 75% of the first timers that we have don't even make it over a minute, right? I have the utmost respect for the people who just show up. Yeah. Who just show up to do something hard. Give it a shot. Yes, it's going to be awful. It's supposed to be. That's the whole point. And a lot of times what I noticed too is if the place that you're with, you can do this with a friend, that can be kind of fun too, because it'll allow you to sit in there a little bit longer, and it's just a little bit more fun and playful as opposed to you just being in there locked in, right?
Yeah. And when you beat your husband the first time, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, good luck with
that. Let's see. Kyle, do you want to talk about some tips for during the session?
Yeah,
Let's
absolutely.
help some people out.
Absolutely. So the first tip, I kind of went over that a little bit, but just the fact that you're there and you're going to do this, you want to set that expectation of just not trying to be perfect. You don't want to be like Joe Rogan or like JoJo or myself or anything like that. It's irrelevant the time that you stay in there. It really is. Yes, we're going to talk about some protocols here, but especially that first time, be kind to yourself. The goal is to just get in the tank. If you get in, you go all the way down, you come up, even if you stop halfway in your breath and you're out there, you've done it.
Yeah.
Your mission accomplished, right? And you've pushed it as far as you possibly can. Maybe the next time you want to go a little longer, but this is not a competition at all. It's not, we wanted to have a leaderboard when we first started or whatever. And now we even did a cold plunge challenge and people got competitive with it.
Oh man. Yeah.
And leave that for people that are more advanced. But the first time, just get your butt in there, do the deal. You'll feel great. I promise.
Yeah.
The second thing is you don't want a baby step. Right. So if you're like, well, I'm just going to put my feet in or I'm just going to you're going to stop. You just start. You want to get in and truly plunge, right?
Yeah.
Get in, go all the way down, get that vagus nerve fired up. Your vagus nerve is in the back here, right?
Top of your neck.
Yeah, it's at the top of your neck here. And I try to hold the water line there because that's what's regulating your fight or flight response, really. And that's what we're doing. That's your fight or flight response. You want to get out.
And
you
it
want to
helps
leave.
your body start heating from the inside out, right?
Right.
Am I saying that correctly?
Right.
So it actually will help you. The lower you are, the more your body is in the water, the more your body will actually start heating itself. Some people will just like go up to their knees, and I'm like, no, it's not going to be harder that way.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. So yeah, no, that's a great point. But then the next one is that you're going to have your breath taken away. So when you use those breathing techniques, you've been practicing, that's going to help you catch your breath, right? So get that deep breath going. And then as you sit in there, you want to really catch your breath and not move nearly as much and let the water do its thing. Try to get your breathing under control and keep it and stick with these breathing patterns so that it's kind of monotonous, I would say, and you're disassociated. Then once again, like we talked about with floating, you're turning back to your breath. Because if you're sitting there staring at the clock, it's the most brutal thing in the world, right? Yeah. So you are going to lose your breath. Once you catch your breath, then it's really mind over matter, right? I will say you can cycle your hands in and out. The hands are the most brutal part, in my opinion. You can cycle your hands and feet in and out. The feet, for whatever reason, I don't see it. They kind of go numb there.
In the feet.
Really? Yeah. It's
But I will say there is a certain point, like once you get past like that 30 seconds or a minute, kind of the burning goes away for me.
Right.
So I always tell people that it does get better if you can push through it.
and then a lot of times, like if you just take your hands out for a little bit, you can push through another 30 seconds to get you to whatever time that you've decided that you're going to, you're going for.
That's that mental toughness thing. A lot of this is if you just push through like 10 more seconds, you find it goes through waves, of letting up.
Sure. So, and then before you want to do some squats and just get the blood flowing a little bit once again, right? Like I said before, create some room, do some twisting, do some twist and shouts or whatever. And then, and kind of go from there. That's going to set you up a little bit. So you're going to have some, once again, room to grow there. When you get out, one thing I will say, a lot of this, back to that devil in the details thing, I try to let myself bring myself back up to temperature, right? So I love the fire and ice and the contrast therapy, but for like metabolism and fat loss and stuff like that, let your body, if you can, bring itself back up to temperature.
Even if you have to shiver a little bit here, right?
Yes, shiver a lot. That's good for you. So that's going to help burn that white fat, brown fat, that whole thing. That will really help. That's one of the things that I really preach because I've seen it. If you think of the amount of energy it takes for a 240-pound man to go from 40-degree water to the float tanks are all at 93.5. That's a 50-degree delta. So if you're making up that 50-degree delta at 240 pounds, that's a ton of energy. Yeah. So you can get an additional calorie burn as opposed to going in the sauna right away and then letting the sauna do the work for you. It will help you then you'll get a little bit more out of it.
Yeah.
And then finally, if you have to, do it a couple times.
Yeah.
Right. Go in there, try it. It was like, oh shit.
I was like, oh, dang it. I got out after 5 seconds. Like,
right. And then bounce back, gather your thoughts, think about what happened, and then go right back in.
Do it again.
Do it again.
Yeah.
Do it again.
Yeah. I actually find, I'll do it for a minute and I'll have a day where I'm just not feeling it. And I get out and I'm like, oh, I'm going to get back in there. And the second time I get back in there, it's like your body's already frozen. So you don't even feel it. So it's almost like, oh, okay, I can last forever now. But yeah, try it a couple times. Yeah.
It's powerful. And then just that, once again, back to that resiliency and mental fortitude of just being like, my self-talk's like, that was weak. You could have done more and this, that, and the other. And now, so, but then I'll force myself to get back in. But it really helps. You
like to play music, like put on a song,
I do.
Right?
I do. If I'm trying to go, like, I try to go like 3 minutes-ish a day now. If you sit there and stare at that clock, it's
brutal.
It's a mind screw, right? You're like, So I'll put on a song that I'm familiar with, that I know that is about however long I'm going to go for. If I'm going for a longer plunge, I'll play a song, maybe like Stairway to Heaven or something. Don't do that. But you get what I'm saying. And that way you're just listening to a song. Right, especially a song that you're familiar with. It's pretty funny. Some people listen to Bop and whatever. I don't know why, but it's. I go a little bit more dark personally, but you could put something on your phone and just play it. Maybe not blasting loud, but then you're sitting in there. You're like, okay, well, this is that guitar solo. I know that's about halfway through. Cool, as opposed to being like just staring at that clock,
it
watching
distracts
it click.
Your brain.
Yeah.
It gives you something like I've even put on like a podcast episode or something I was listening to, just anything to distract me. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So those some of the techniques as far as what to do inside of the tank when you're experiencing this. What about some routines and protocols, JoJo?
Yeah. So obviously the long-term benefits come from consistent plunge sessions. Like we have an unlimited plunge membership. We've got tons of customers that will come in and plunge literally every day. Right. But even once a week, you can get tons of benefits there. So the overall recommendation from what we've heard is 11 minutes a week. Now this doesn't have to be all in one session, although it can be. We've got some customers that will come in and go one time and they do 10, 12 minutes at one time. They're beasts. Sure. I prefer to break it up. Like Kyle said, I'm usually 3 to 5 minutes. And so, if you think about that, that's 2-3 times a week of, 3 to 5 minutes.
Sure.
So that's totally tangible. That's where you're going to see a lot of these benefits that we've been talking about, like with metabolism and immunity. Right. I think the mental toughness you can get just from showing up, right?
Yeah, that's the Soderbergh protocol, which was made popular by Huberman. It says a lot of that. And it's all 11 minutes per week, give or take. It obviously doesn't have to be super specific, but I don't think you necessarily see incremental benefits by going 30 minutes a week or anything like that. And that's the other thing too, right?
Once you get past like that 10-minute mark, you're really not getting a lot of benefits. You're just...
Yeah, and so you hurt yourself.
Yeah, you're just getting closer and closer to frostbite. So, there's a certain point where, there's no need to continue to push yourself. But you will get better over time. And that was the coolest part about doing that cold plunge challenge. So we did this challenge and it was 10 plunges within 30 days. And people were tracking their plunges. But, they'd come in for their first one and they'd barely be able to sit in there. And by the time they're doing their last one, they're doing 8 minutes or 6 minutes. And it was incredible to see. And they were all excited. And it was just such a testament to the fact that your body can endure more and more every time. And you do get better with this. So, my first time, I think I barely did 30 seconds. Now I'm consistently doing 3-4 minutes. That you will get better. So stick with it and keep coming. There's lots of ways we have packages and memberships that make it a lot more feasible for you to come in and be consistent and stay consistent with this.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Kyle, any final words of wisdom for cold plunging here?
I would just say just kind of get started. Aside from that, the big thing for me is letting your body bring itself up to temperature. And that's a real big thing. And I know I touched on that, but it's a lot more than just physical too. I would say it's really more than anything else. It's been the mental, and my stress response has gone down considerably. If things go crazy, I'm able to then, kind of draw upon that in my everyday, day to day, and just kind of, put myself in the plunge and just gather my breath and stuff. So it's you're building that practice that you can go back to in that fight or flight response. So consistently and just try it and be kind to yourself, really.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Give it a try. I mean, it's amazing how, you come out really with this pride, and you did something really hard. So like we see it all the time, and we understand how hard it is. And so it's a really fun.
And it's you versus you. It's not you versus some idiot on Instagram or you versus the last guy that was in there or your friend. There's so many different things. Is the water moving? Is the water not moving? Was it cold or was it this? There's so many different factors that as long as you got out what you got out of it, that's really all that matters.
Yeah. So come in, give it a shot. Come plunge with us, alteredstateswellness.com. If you want to ramp up your plunge sessions, maybe give contrast therapy, that's when you add in the infrared sauna, so you get a little extreme heat before the extreme cold. Go check out our episode on contrast therapy. You can find that at that's episode number 2. So check that out. As always, you can book at alteredstateswellness.com. I think I may have already said that. Anything else, Kyle?
No, I think that's about it. I think we've covered all the frosty details. So go in, get frosty, and see how it makes you feel. It's just it's been a really good thing to add to our wellness kind of routine and in our arsenal.
Love it.
See you guys in the next episode.